Hello and welcome into another episode of the Endline Sports. I am super excited to be back with you. I have got a running back ranking video for you this week. I'm going to go over what I think are the six best running backs in the country right now. One through six. Number one is not going to be a big surprise, but we're going to go ahead and get into it. Super excited to be back with you. Got some stuff for you, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Number one, we'll go from six to one. How about that? Number six, we have Bashul Tootin out of Virginia Tech. Um, Super solid running back outside of a pretty poor performance against what I guess is a good team in Vanderbilt in week one. Week one, he had a bad game, but ever since then, been super solid. Staple for that Virginia Tech team that is better than their record suggests. They should have beat Miami several weeks ago. Oh, they should beat Miami. I can't believe the refs did that, but I digress. Um, Through this season, what is it? 7 games. We're here in week 9 now. Um, he's got 125 carries for 871 yards, 7 yards a carry. Very solid number. 7 yards a carry. If you're getting 7 yards a carry, give him the ball every play. That's what I do. If you're getting 7 yards a carry, you're going to get down the field pretty quick. Pretty quick. It's 11 plays. You're down there. Well, that's not true. 14 plays, 98 yards. But anyway, he's got 12 touchdowns and had a huge game against Boston College, which is a strange team, but overall a decent team. And they gave Missouri a good run, beat Florida State, which is nothing now. How bad is Florida State? Yikes. Got to suck to be a Seminole fan after last year. But anyway, against Boston College, he ended up with 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. Huge game, major part of why they won that game. And has been a staple of their offense, a real bell cow back for them. Uh, Coupled with his rushing stats, he also has 16 catches for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. Has been a super, super vital part of that Virginia Tech offense and has going to continue to get better as he has this entire season. Had his best game last week and will continue to improve. I think that he will cement himself up there as one of the best running backs in the country, leading in the top 10 in yards and up there in touchdowns. Been a really good running back. So he's number six. Number five, Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. If you would have told me that a running back out of Rutgers would be a top five running back this year, I'd have called you ridiculous. People expected Rutgers to be good, but nobody really expected them to be this good. I don't even know if they're this good. Uh, I mean, they're a strange team. They'll beat a good team and lose to a really bad team. But if you're in the Big Ten, if you're a Big Ten fan, I wouldn't want to play Rutgers too much because of how this guy plays. Kyle Monangai is a smaller back. He's 5'9", but he's 210 pounds. A unit, super muscular, super strong, fast, and likes to deliver the boom. He really does. He's got 154 carries this year, which I believe leads the nation. 845 yards for 5.5 yards a carry and 10 touchdowns. Has been solid for Rutgers. Has been the reason that they've won some of the big games that they've won. Kept them around when their passing offense is just not very good, but has been a very solid running back. He's going to crack my top five at the number five slot. Number four, I wanted to put him a little higher, and by the end of the year, I'm tempted to throw him higher. Cam Scatabo out of Arizona State. If you don't know him, get to know him. Big hit. Great play that he laid in the red zone against, I'm not sure who they played. It was somebody in the Big 12 out there, but a true difference maker for their offense. He is a dynamic, you can't get him down, lays the wood on everybody he hits. He had a play last week where he gets stopped like 4 yards in the backfield, gets around the two defenders that are behind the line of scrimmage trying to get to him, and just runs over a poor guy trying to stop him from getting in the end zone. And he gets in there for a touchdown. One of the best highlights of the year. He's got 150 carries. As you can see, real bell cow back for Arizona State. I watched him play in the Texas State game. Texas State is, I mean, they're not a great team, but they're not a horrendous team. They probably beat Florida State, but they couldn't stop him. They just handed Scatabo the ball and everybody get out of the way. If y'all have watched Last Dance, Michael Jordan's coach had a pretty good quote about that. It applies for Mr. Scatabo. Anyway, 150 carries, 871 yards for almost 6 yards a carry, and 10 touchdowns. To go with that, 23 catches for 283 yards. That's 12.3 yards a catch. The guy's dynamic. He is their offense. If you could stop Cam Scatabo, which nobody has done so far, you could stop Arizona State. But the guy is electric, super strong, runs over people. You cannot arm tackle this guy, or he's going to run right on past you. That's why he's at number 4. Number 3, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. A lot of people thought at the beginning of this year that Iowa's offense was greatly improved. Maybe Ferentz up there had schemed something with a new OC. He hasn't. He just has a monster in the backfield. Caleb Johnson is a electric running back. Um, has had some really good games. His only really off game, and it wasn't even an off game. He still scored a touchdown. He scored a touchdown on every game he's played. His worst game was against a really, really good defense in Ohio State, and he still had a touchdown and I think 80 plus yards. But for the year, he has 138 carries, over 1,000 yards, 1,035 to be exact, and 7.8 yards a carry, which is just nuts. 8 yards a carry for a running back out of Iowa. And, Iowa, obviously known for their electric offense over the past few years. Sorry, Iowa fans, but I think that Caleb Johnson is their offense because McNamara is not very good. I didn't think he was very good at Michigan. I don't think he's very good at Iowa. And how about Iowa getting in recruiting violations for going after Caden McNamara, who is just not great? But anyway, 1,035 yards, 8 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns on the year rushing, coupled with 16 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. What is that? 6 yards a catch and a touchdown. It's been 14 total touchdowns on the year. It's really, really good stats. It'd be probably best in the league if it weren't for the two guys in front of him. But Caleb Johnson at Iowa is a fantastic running back. I think that he will continue to put up some pretty unbelievable numbers just because Iowa has nothing else. They don't. As long as he doesn't get hurt, Iowa, you're going to have a chance to win games because you got a good defense and the kid can run the rock. If I am Iowa's offensive coordinator, my game plan is give the ball to Caleb Johnson. Same thing with Cam Scatabo and Kyle Monangai too. Most of these guys are kind of like that. They're so talented that they can carry an offense, and they have so far. Number 2, another guy who's carrying an offense, Dylan Sampson out of the University of Tennessee. Now, a lot of you might say that I'm a little biased here, but I disagree. I think his numbers are pretty special, especially his touchdown number. 17 touchdowns on the year. He's played 7 games and scored 17 touchdowns. 2.5 a game. Now, some of that's against lesser competition, but he's still putting up big numbers. He had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns against Alabama. He had 3 touchdowns against Florida. He scored in every game he's played in. And a lot of the games he's put up these big numbers against lesser teams, he's only played a half. But he's got 144 carries for 840 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, and has been the workhorse running back and the savior of Tennessee's offense because if y'all have tuned into any Tennessee games, the offense is struggling. Defense is solid for us, but the offense struggles. I think that Dylan Sampson has been the absolute saving grace of that offense. Against Florida, he put up every point they had. Against Alabama, he scored the first 2 touchdowns. But 17 touchdowns is nuts for Dylan Sampson. What is that? 2.5 a game. Yeah. And on top of that, he's one touchdown away from the Tennessee school record. Coupled with that, he's on pace for 31 this year, 31 touchdowns. Same thing with guy on the next at the number one spot out of Boise State, Ashton Jeanty. No surprise here. Guys in the front runner and the Heisman, at least for me, should be in the national media just because of how electric he's been. The way he stands in the backfield is ridiculous. He stands back there like Michael Myers, just waiting to deliver some punishment. To me, good comp for him is maybe a little faster Marshawn Lynch. And I know he doesn't play elite competition out there in Boise State. I get that. But he did play Oregon, number one team in the country, and put up some serious numbers against them. 2 touchdowns in that one. Now, just listen to these stats. Ridiculous. Also, I'll get to that in a second. 126 carries. The lowest on this list, second lowest behind kid out of Virginia Tech. He's got 125, but 126 carries for almost 1,250 yards, 1,248. That's 9.9 yards a carry. Dude's getting a first down every time he touches a football as a runner. Unbelievable. You can't tackle him. You can stack the box against him. I saw a stat when he plays against a loaded box, which is at least 8 people in the box. You get 5 linebacker or 5 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, maybe run a 4-2 with a couple safeties creeping down or nickels, what Tennessee calls a star player, other people's call it other things. Um, they can't stop him. You throw safeties at him, no chance. Linebackers have not had a chance. Defensive linemen are too slow because he's already in the hole. He's patient. He's versatile. He also has a touchdown over the air this year, which I don't know. I didn't even know that Boise State threw the ball. I wouldn't. You got to open it up some, but even against that super heavy box, he's still averaging, I think, 9+ yards a carry. If you are a defense, that has to be so demoralizing to throw out however many you want to put in the box. You can put as many as you want in that box. He's still going to get his. But he's also got 17 touchdowns on the ground, tied with Dylan Sampson. Actually, the number one leader in rushing touchdowns so far this year is Army's quarterback. That's not too surprising because of how well they've done, and their style of offense really supports the quarterback run with the option they have running back there. They've run some pretty unbelievable plays. They've incorporated the air a little bit. If he played for anybody except Army, his stats would be probably good enough to get him into the Heisman conversation. He won't be because he plays for a service academy and that gimmick offense they have, but good for him. 19 touchdowns this year on the ground. That's not to mention how many he has in the air, which I think is 6 or 7. So he's what, 20, 25, 26 touchdowns on the year in total for the quarterback out of Army. I'm not sure of his name. But anyway, Ashton Jeanty is inhuman with how well he's been playing. I think that he probably will win the Heisman. It should be really cool to see a Heisman out of Boise State, not anywhere like, a powerhouse like Alabama, Georgia, uh, LSU last year with Jaden Daniels. He's having a really good year in the NFL, by the way. Sad to see he has the rib injury he does, but he'll be back. But Ashton Jeanty, far and away, best running back. But don't sleep on Dylan Sampson. I know that sounds kind of skewed coming from a Tennessee fan, but 17 touchdowns speak for themselves. They really do. That's what I got for you. But Ashton Jeanty, number one, Dylan Sampson, number two, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, number three, Cam Scatabo out of Arizona State at number four, Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers at 5, and Bashul, I think it's Bashul Tootin out of Virginia Tech, Bhayshul. Help me out on that pronunciation if you're out there. Would love to know if you're a Virginia Tech fan. If you're Mr. Tootin himself, I apologize if I butchered your first name. But yeah, that's what we got for the top 6 running backs in the college football world so far. I'm sure that ranking will probably change as the year goes on, but as of now, these guys have been dynamic, electric, and embodied some old school football for some of them, just the way that they run the ball. They run it hard. They're shifty, quick, and think every guy on that list can really break a tackle. You cannot throw an arm tackle at any of these guys. They'll break it and they will break your defense. Thanks for watching. Have some more videos coming at you either tomorrow or later tonight. Super excited to bring you another video. And um, down here in the corners next to me, you'll have a recommended video from my channel that if you want to watch it, you are more than welcome and I would appreciate it. On the right side over here, we got a link to my channel. You can subscribe. It won't cost you $1. Would help me out as I try and grow this channel a little bit. Um, yeah, that's what I got for you. Exciting week of college football coming up. We'll be covering some of that. And yeah, super happy to be able to bring this to you. Y'all have a good night.